Alright, welcome to the first episode of Enemy Assembly. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with that name, but I wanted to try something different. This is my first unscripted video. I'm just recording the audio and the video live at the same time. And yeah, I wanted to create this series where I talk about the enemy design in Darkmoon. I thought it would be fun to highlight each enemy one at a time and just talk a little bit about them. So this episode is all about the Eybat. And here I'm just in a test room that I have used a lot so far in the development of Darkmoon. And we have these little enemies, the Eybats. There's honestly not that much to say about them in terms of lore. Probably won't have a lot to say about lore for most of the enemies in this series. So instead, let's talk about the other elements of enemy design, such as their mechanics and aesthetics. So, yeah. Obviously, the most striking aesthetic of Darkmoon, which is something that I established in the first Hunter's Moon, is the silhouette aesthetic, which is very prominent on the main character that you control, and of course the background elements. But, you know, the concept of the silhouettes only goes so far, and I think it looks awesome, and I've had a lot of compliments from people who also think it looks great. So that's great and all, but as you can see, the game is not actually entirely silhouettes. Stuff that is on a slightly further away layer has color. These objects have color. The powers that you can collect. And of course the moon and the sky, there's color there. And even your sword and arrows have color. So I have made an intentional design choice to add color to accent certain character or enemy designs or objects or what have you. Partially to just draw attention to it, and to give something to break up the illusion. Oh, we got a big trail of guys following us now. Yeah, so the color is an aspect that I was thinking about when I designed these enemies. They were the first enemies that I designed for the game. And they're very simple because the initial purpose of these enemies was simply to create something that I could test Korai's, the main character's, moveset with. I wanted to just basically create a punching bag. Of course, I wanted them to still be able to attack you, which they can do by ramming into you. But I didn't really need anything that complicated. So, in terms of the aesthetic, I just made them little orbs, and I gave them only one animation. Future enemies on this series will be a lot more complicated, because certain enemies just call for more complexity in their design. These enemies, I was really happy I could get away with one animation, and when you hit them, they don't even have a knockback animation like most of the enemies in the game do. They just simply freeze on their animation for a second. And that's something that I've coded into the way that enemies work, is they will just freeze if they don't have a knockback animation. So I'm a big fan of, I guess you could say taking shortcuts, but it's really about scope, managing scope, because I am a very creative person. I have a lot of big ideas about things that I could do, and I often get bogged down in trying to make them, especially if they're, like, the bigger they are. So a big part of game design for me is figuring out what is actually essential. And I really like the concept of essentialism. I'm not always good at actually doing it, but it's something that I strive to do. I think these enemies, the Eybats, are a good example of that, though. So I'm gonna stop rambling about all of that and explain a bit more about how they work, although I think part of the beauty of it is you probably can already tell how they work. They move in a random direction and basically just wander in place for a little bit unless you get close enough to trigger them. So there's that guy in the corner there. if I step close enough, he will start trying to follow me. Now, these enemies are really easy to kite around because their movement is so predictable. They will just try to go straight towards you. If there's an obstacle in the way, they will just get stuck on it. They do have one bit of pathfinding, which is a little bit interesting, which is just, as you can see, even if they're all flying together, they will stay slightly separated. I'm really happy with how this worked out. It's really simple. Basically, when one of the eye-bats is overlapping with another one, it will randomly turn away. And that means that even though they will keep trying to get to you, they will sort of swarm like this. Now, if I was to turn that feature off, you would see that eventually all of these eye-bats would just overlap on top of each other. They would all clump together in a very ambiguous and unappealing way. Eventually, they might even funnel all together and be in the literal exact same position, in which case, at a glance, you wouldn't be able to tell how many of them there were. You wouldn't be able to appreciate that you've got a swarm of guys following you. So that's a really simple thing that I did to give them just the tiniest bit of complexity in how they navigate the world. But as you can see, they also are not particularly clever. They do not know how to avoid walls. And we will eventually get to enemies that do know how to avoid walls, but that will be in a future video. Now, because I wanted to create them quickly, and they were initially basically just a test enemy, they don't have any attacks. So instead of giving them any dedicated attacks, I just made it so that when they run into you, they do a decent amount of damage. Most enemies have contact damage. Actually, so far, I think every enemy in the game does, and probably every enemy in the game will have contact damage. So if you touch them, they'll hurt you. But for most enemies, that's just going to be 2 points of damage. I should say, actually, the damage numbers are potentially subject to change at a later date when I've built more of the game and I can do a bit more balancing. But these guys, since they only have one attack, and that is body slamming you, they do more damage than other enemies for touching you. And yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say about these guys, but I just thought it would be fun to systematically go through each enemy that I've created, and of course the future enemies that I will make, and make a little video talking about them and showing them off. Yeah. Oh, and there is one more thing that I want to say about these guys, although I might switch to different visuals to illustrate my point. I wanted to talk about hitboxes, because that is one of the things that makes a simple enemy like this actually feel fun to fight instead of just kind of boring and frustrating. Basically, every enemy in the game has multiple collision masks that are used under different circumstances. If I switch to this debug mode, it doesn't show you the enemy hitboxes. I haven't programmed that at the moment, but it will show you Korai's hitbox, which is used both for collision detecting with the ground and walls, and also for enemies hitting you. But as you can see, the enemy actually has to overlap this box a fair amount before it starts hurting him. And that's because the enemy's collision mask that is used to determine whether or not it has hit you with an attack is smaller than its body actually looks. And that's basically just to make it feel nicer when you're jumping around. It can feel really frustrating when you're playing a game like this to run just up slightly against an enemy and suddenly take damage. So that's a way to mitigate that frustration. You really have to feel like you're inside this guy before he starts hurting you. But it would be kind of annoying if you had to hit your sword all the way into the center of the enemy to do damage. So as you can see, I can actually hit them from slightly if you freeze frame there, I can hit them from slightly outside of where you would visually think I would be able to hit them. And again, that's just for making the game feel more fluid and just fun for the player. A lot of the time, what is strictly fair is not actually what feels fair to the player. So you could argue that it would be strictly fair if I only hit them if the swoosh of my sword slicing through the air directly overlapped with the pixels on their body, and they could hurt me if any of their pixels touched any of my pixels. But in practice, that would just be frustrating, comparatively. So yeah, just wanted to touch on that because that is a design element that is used by basically every single enemy in the game. I mean, I say basically, but I'm pretty sure it's literally every enemy has multiple hitboxes. A small one for detecting passive damage when they touch you, and a larger one for detecting your attacks hitting them. And not only that, but these enemies also have a third hitbox, which they use to detect collisions with the world environment. I don't really know why I didn't add that many collisions for Korai, the main character. I think it just worked out that this collision box seemed to be the right size for enemy collisions and also terrain collisions. So there you have it. Thanks for watching episode 1 of Enemy Assembly, the video series that I'm starting today, I suppose, when this video is posted, talking about how the enemies are assembled, and also seeing an assembly of these enemies on screen right now. And when the video series is done, we'll have an assembly of all of the enemies in the game. So yeah, I don't know if I'm actually going to call it that, though. We'll see what the video title is called, but in this video I'm calling it that. So there you have it. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please let me know how you feel about this more informal video style where I'm sort of just saying things naturally as they come to my mind. Previously, all of the videos I posted have been scripted, and while I do enjoy doing that, there's also something fun to me about just turning on a recording, turning on the game, walking around in the game, and talking about the things that you're seeing. I think it's a fun way to share a bit about the game development and my thoughts behind it. So if you think it's fun too, let me know. And of course, if you're interested in following along for more videos, more of Dark Moon and more of my creative stuff, then please subscribe to the channel and yeah, comment, like the video, etc., etc. And that is all for this video. Thanks for watching and have a great day. I'll see you later.